getting, I don't know what people are thinking.
I'm getting more nervous.
I'm not nervous.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to.
It figures, I mean, it's kind of like family in the living lounge, and we're just showing our pictures. This is what we do.
Yep, it's not that big of a deal.
Because we know most everybody that's out there. And between the four of us, we know everybody that's out there.
I think it's just being in there,
Yeah.
and I just get nervous when I get there.
This is the way that I had to deal with it. Most of the people I showed, I could carry on a conversation with and talk with them. So it's just that there's more people here.
They're listening.
And yeah, and you can't talk individually with them all at one time. So, yeah.
Elizabeth using this one? All right. Let's go ahead and say a quick prayer, and then we'll get into the presentation for the team that claims they've done the best job of building books. We'll see how that measures up here. Okay? So let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just praise you and thank you for the ability to go and to serve and to help your word get spread throughout the nations, to help the Burkes just create the material that they need to be able to train the Chimani people, their dedication to it. We just thank you for that. We thank you for the opportunity to go and serve them. And we ask you to just bless this evening with the report from the team that went, and to be working in our hearts for all of us to serve however we can. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So as you know, we had a team go down to Bolivia again and help build the books that they use to train the Chimani people in the villages and in their training centers and that sort of stuff. And it was an experience that I think this team really enjoyed and had the pleasure of working and going through all that's involved in going to serve on a short-term mission. Apparently it was successful. Thought I'd read a note from Dan Burke right now and give you an idea of what they've done. This was a note sent to Galen. Galen worked with the team that went and helped coordinate, tried to work with the different visa issues and that sort of stuff, and everybody made it, and it worked out in the end. So thank God. So this is from Dan. Hello, Galen. Dan Burke here. I thought I would write an after-team review for you and the church to the extent you want to pass on the information to them. I would like to thank EBC once again for sending us a bookmaking team. This was the fourth bookmaking team to come to Bolivia from EBC, and it did not disappoint. I wonder if that's high praise from him. They worked hard and with a good spirit, even with it raining nearly the entire time they were here. Although there were many uncertainties with regard to their coming, the Lord enabled them to overcome the potential obstacles and have a good and productive time. We enjoyed their companionship as well as the help they brought. Once again, EBC was well represented by this team, and you should be proud of them and their efforts as we ourselves are. God bless, and thank you once again, EBC. So let's give them a round of applause for representing. Dan goes on with the actual data, which I thought was, being a kind of a geek, I thought this was interesting. For the inquisitive, all 1,300 books were made, all 1,300 books made were folded page books. That works out to 55,500 pieces of paper folded. Elizabeth was the first woman team member to staple books, and that at a pace that almost melted my stapler. Daryl tape laminated 1,100 songbook covers, which is the most by far. And the gals did the happy dance more times than not. I will let them explain that. Good results all around. God bless Dan Burke. So why don't you guys come on up? I know you've got a little presentation that you're going to do. And I'll get out of the way.
We're live. Okay. We're going to explain a little bit about how we got involved on the team, and everybody's going to get a chance to share how that came about. So we'll start with Elizabeth.
Hi. So I met Dan and Judy when they were visiting Oregon last March, so a little over a year ago. So I got to know them then, and kind of ever since first meeting them, I wanted to go down on the next book trip. So I hunted down Ron. Thank you. Names are hard. Found Ron and was like, put me on the list. I know there's not a list yet, but I want to be on the list. So I've been on the list before there was a list.
For me, it was, for a couple of years, I had it mulling in the back of my head when they would talk about the short-term book team. That's something I can do. It's not too difficult to fold a piece of paper, and you learn real quick to fold a piece of paper accurately. Anyway, so it was probably late summer, early fall. I asked my husband, Mike, I said, what do you think if I wanted to go on the short-term book team to Bolivia? And he goes, go for it. He couldn't because of some medical issues that he's dealing with, so he sent me with his blessing.
Well, I hadn't really thought about going until Galen Harm said, I have a really good idea. You two need to go to Bolivia. And I thought, well, I don't know why not. So I said I'd be open to that. And that was kind of the start of us.
I had thought about it back when they were trying to get people that would go. But I thought, oh, I don't know Spanish, and I don't want to do an Evelyn Wood Spanish reading course or anything else like that. So I thought, well, I guess maybe that takes me out of it. Deanne and I have been involved in youth missions trips before, and the difference about youth missions trips is most of the time people speak English, and you can kind of share your thoughts with people, especially in the one that we went down to Bakersfield, California. We knew culturally that it was going to be a little bit different. And when the pastor's wife flopped on the floor and started shaking, we knew that we were in a different culture. And so anyhow, that was an introduction to a different style of worship than what we had ever been involved in. But this was going to be a little bit different, I felt, because we were making books. And the books don't speak Spanish. Most of the time, we can kind of figure out the books where they should go by the numbers that are on the pages. and that helped an awful lot. And the happy dance comes from getting all of the papers lined up properly, and then you do whatever happy dance with your fingers, or you just know that you've done it well. And so we had a lot of opportunities to do that. So just wanted to let you know that each of us had a different calling at a different time. Deanne and I, after Galen talked with us, I think it was only several weeks before we actually started getting tickets. And it was that close to the window of needing to decide that we were going. And so anyhow, that's a little bit about the process. And for anybody that might be thinking about that in the future, you do not need to know Spanish. Elizabeth knows a little Spanish, a lot compared to me, but they speak it so fast that I would say, did you catch any of that? A little bit, maybe, and you have to be willing to, at least for me, go to the airport and go, what was that? Can you say that again? Slower, and they're broken English. They're trying to help you out a little bit. So for me, when we got back into the United States and Houston, it was so nice to hear English, So anyhow, I think we're going to go ahead and start with the pictures. We're going to pass the microphone, and this takes us forward and backward, and it also has a pointer. So we'll start out with this one. This right here is very important. It is a pig with locks on it, and it is just full of locks from everywhere, every kind. I don't know. I think that's the rump end of it. But this is in a square that is in Santa Cruz, and we will get some pictures eventually that will show a cathedral on this side of that square. And there will be some other pictures on the square afterwards. So this is the beginning picture. This is a little explanation of the country of Bolivia. And some of you that already know this, well, see if I get it right. This is Santa Cruz right here. Santa Cruz is lowlands. It is 1,300 feet elevation. So it is hot, humid, sticky, mosquitoes. Anything else? Does that pretty much cover it? Okay. So that's Santa Cruz. This up here is San Borja. Borja. I always say Borja. Okay. That is where the Burkes have the ministry with the Chumani people. That is also lowland, but it is lower land than what Santa Cruz is. It is about 750 feet in elevation, and it is about 3,000 miles from the mouth of the Amazon River. So when they are getting rain, that rain has to find its way into the streams, and it is very slow going in order to be able to get rid of all that water. They have had a record rainfall this year. When we were there, Dan said that they had already surpassed the 100% level. So they had all of the reservoirs and dams that are full of water, and they were still getting rain at San Borja. And they could not land planes there because the runways were so soft, they would dig holes and probably flip the planes. So after
we have gotten back, I think they have actually made a couple of flights there, and they were taking vegetables, tomatoes, lettuce, and different things like that for some of the little communities around San Borja. San Borja is, according to Dan, about 900 people in that community. The Cochabamba people group are about 15,000. And that is where the ministry is. But between San Borja, right where my, let's see, there it is. Right in this area from Santa Cruz and Cochabamba there is on the left and goes right up through this way. Those are the Andes Mountains. And so outside of Santa Cruz, there is, outside of Cochabamba, the airport, there is a mountain that is 16,000, about 400 feet high. And I took a picture of it, and there was no snow on it. It was completely like rock. So they don't get the snow there. This was heading into their winter time, and so they don't get the snow on all of the mountains around there. They got rain. So just to let you know, Cochabamba right there is 8,500 feet high, and the Burks, they live up heading towards the Andes Mountains, so it would be on this side. Their home is about 8,800 feet high. And so up above their place, there was a brewery that goes up to about 9,000 something. Yeah. So there was truck travel up and back there quite a bit. Okay, so let's move on. Oh, and if you have any questions, just feel free to ask them right now, and that way you won't have to try to remember them at the end. Just put your hand up and go, ooh, 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 like that or something. Yes, Sue. I have no idea.
It's probably like where other places they have locks on bridges and stuff. It's probably the same thing.
Yeah, you can claim fame to having your lock there or something like that, I guess. So anyhow, it was kind of interesting. Okay. This is Portland Airport. It is changed since the last time we have been there. Oh, and maybe someplace along the line, our experience, Deanne and my experience flying is hardly ever. This was the first time that we've used our passports, and I don't think, I've gone to Canada at one time, just in and out, but I don't think as a family we've ever gone anyplace else. So anyhow, it was all kind of new to us. Portland Airport was interesting, I guess. It's expanding. And when we got there, all the ladies had 3 boarding passes, one for Portland and the next 2 in our flights down. I got 1. And I could get out of Portland to San Francisco, and then at San Francisco, we needed to check in, and there was people there maybe an hour before our flight, and so we were starting to get a little nervous. But then they gave us all new boarding passes, so anyhow. This is San Francisco, and this was the area that we needed to check in, and we were there about 2 hours or 3 hours before our flight, so we had plenty of time to wait and consider nobody was there to check us in. Panama was our stop after San Francisco, and it was kind of interesting. The plane dipped enough that we could see the water out there and the ships that were out getting ready to go through the Panama Canal, so that was kind of interesting. And this was where we met our first, I guess, Mennonite people. And that was a little bit different. Elizabeth seemed to know what they were speaking, so.
There were sorry, that's loud. There were a couple people standing around our gate. Our gate is just the one right behind the M in Panama. And they were seeking some form of Plattdeutsch. She told me exactly what it was. I don't remember. So there was a family from Canada, and they were talking with some of the Mennonites that live in Bolivia. So that was that.
This is Santa Cruz, and this, I'm sure, is after the Burks. Yeah, they were there to help pick us up, and that was the first place we went through customs, I guess. And we also had to get our visas there, and I was the last person through the visa part, and we were pretty careful. We tried to take crisp money down because they like crisp bills. And so we had a crisp $100 bill because it cost $160 for your visa. And not thinking too much about that, we just used 20s that we had. We tried to get nice looking 20s, but I had one $20 bill that had about a 1/16 of an inch of separation where the bottom of the fold was on it. And so okay, well, let's look for another one. And then he rejected another $20 bill that had a little, I'm guessing it was like maybe an ink spot on it, but if any of you have seen fly poop, it was about that size on the white part of it. And he go, and I thought, okay, oh, boy, this is tough. And I asked Deanne, do we have any other $20 bills at all? Nope. So then he brought out his phone, and it said that they wanted crisp dollars. And so then I looked at that, and then I also saw it said, oh, you could use a credit card. So I thought, oh, okay. I said, you take a credit card? You go, yeah. So he had a reader on his phone, went ahead and took the credit card, and fortunately they just only charged $160. So that was a good thing because we were a little fearful of using a credit card there. So anyhow, we got through customs, and it was okay. It wasn't bad. Okay, this is the room that Elizabeth, was that your bed, or was that was okay? And Joey stayed in that room, and
So this is one of the guest rooms in the training center that Ethnos 360 has in Santa Cruz. So the training center is here, and then right across the street was the guest house sort of thing. So that was just a picture of the inside of the room I stayed at the first night we were there. Yeah, it was upstairs, and there's a little balcony that walked around.
And I didn't take, Deanne and I were downstairs, and we actually had a bathroom in ours. So anyhow, we were flying there. And this is it. This is the compound. And whoops, push the wrong button. This is kind of an exercise area, soccer area across the street from, this is where the compound was over here where we entered. And we took a bunch of back roads in taxis, and it was late at night, dark, and it looked like some rough areas of Santa Cruz. And Dan just said, well, you're seeing the sights. That's what it looks like here. And so we enjoyed it. It looked better in the morning when it was light. So let's see. And this is one of the two compounds that are there in Santa Cruz. This is where we stayed when we came in. So this was our first night of sleeping. Yeah, we didn't get any sleep on the plane. So, and that's the gate. And it's secured. You can tell that. We don't have another picture, but they a lot of times up on the, whoops, oh, I did it again. Troy, I don't know how you do this. Huh? Okay, this part up here, a lot of times there's razor wire up circled around. And if there's concrete, they will have broken bottles up on top of the concrete to keep people out.
This is llama. It was very tasty. It just tasted like beef. But I had to take a picture because it's llama. I thought it was kind of cool.
I think we all tried llama, didn't we? Okay. It really wasn't bad at all. This is the Burke's place. He had right back here a little motorcycle that really didn't belong to him, but there was a pilot that flies for them, came and got that while we were there. And so this is a garage area right here where they could park several vehicles if they needed. And that is the Andes Mountains. This is behind their place. It just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. Book. Folded, unfolded. We make these into these. Okay? Anybody can do it. Oh, this is the stapler that almost melted. Okay, so this is the cover, and it needs to be laminated, not laminated, laminated front and back. And then the back cover of it has only one side that's laminated. And so the reason why is Dan said that these songbooks go into families' hands, and they will, most of the time, have kids that will chew on them and teeth on them or whatever, and they will get wrecked. That and the moisture that's there that makes them deteriorate. So they stay a lot better shape if they can be laminated. So that's the purpose of that. That's the laminating process. This is the tape. You stick it on there, you roll it across, and then you take these and stick them on there. That was what I did a lot of. Okay, this is from their picnic table. Their house is back here on this side, and this is that curtain that was before. This is where Deanne and I stayed, this room right here. And then Elizabeth and Joey, if you turn this corner and go straight, there was a window right there, and that's where their rooms were at. You forgot what? Oh, okay. Whoops. Wrong fingers, okay. This is flowers and things they have here, and some vegetables and things like that. These were they raspberries or?
They're something similar to a ground cherry, but slightly different. I don't remember the official name for it.
And back here is a little shop. That's where Dan and I remade a rack for the oven. Dan was welding it back there. I was bending the metal to form it so that it would work. And we ate outside here a lot of times, lunches out here on this table. And this is a solar clothesline, whatever. And this is what it looked like a lot of times we were there, clouds and rain. This is the inside area. This is where Deanna and I slept, the bed there, and a little bit of a kind of an office over here on the side. And that's where we had to put everything up so that we didn't get scorpions to crawl into any of our shoes or bags or anything else like that. And fortunately, we did not see a scorpion until the very last day that we were there. And we would have had a picture of it, but it's not, didn't show up.
I do have a picture of it, but I think I forgot to put it on the slideshow. So anyone who would like to see a thick-tailed scorpion, find me afterwards. I have a picture on my phone.
I tried to knock it with a fly swatter, but it was a little bit too quick for me to step on it. So right over here is where they had a filtration system for the water. And we would continually fill that up. And down in their house, we had another one so we could get fresh water at all times. And we could put our lukewarm water in here, and it was nice and cold. I enjoyed that. The weather there was short sleeve like. I wore shorts several times and didn't have any sleeves on. And the sun would come out and it would warm up a little bit, but it was rainy. Quite often we just kind of rushed back and forth between the two places. Anything else you want to say? Okay. This is Elizabeth and Joey's room. I think Joey, you slept there, I think, and Elizabeth was over here on this side. And notice how everything is up. No scorpions, or anything. So, yeah, there's Elizabeth's. Yes.
So Dan made that bed frame specially for me. It was an old bookshelf he took apart, and it was like 84 inches long. And they had a cushion that they put at the end that was perfect so that I had a really long bed. It was really sweet.
Oh, the care that they take care of us with, huh? Okay, this is a slideshow of the stuff that's growing out there. Their oranges were, their limes and oranges were, and what do you call those? Figs. Figs were all ready to eat. And so we enjoyed them making a lot of different juices and things like that. I think Judy had a juicer that she just used the blender, and then she would take the big chunks out a little bit. So anyhow, that was good. And this is their house. Right there, you can see the water filtration system. It's in a probably a metal container, and you just pour it in the top, and it filtrates down to the bottom. And they would a lot of times lay these all out so that they could make it all the way around and pick those up when they were collating them. And there's the work in progress. And I don't know, Looks like Deanne's got tape and Joey's got tape too. It's black tape for the binding of the books. This is what would run around. This is their street coming up to their place, and this is public grazing, I guess, is what you'd call it. We saw cows there, sheep. Down the road this way was a place that did hogs, and they barbecued them or whatever and put them together. So they just freely graze out in some of these areas, but there is a rope on that one there so that they don't run away. Songbooks, and these are lesson books, number 3. And Judy does a lot of the writing of those so that she can teach her women's classes with that. And she is the only woman that has taken the time to learn the Chimani language and be able to teach that to the women. So they really are very thankful that she's taken the time to work with them and to teach them the Bible the way that the men have been taught. What do you call it?
Salteña. So it's their version of an empanada, but it is filled with soup. So they like freeze the soup in the shape of it, and then they put it in the dough and they cook the dough however they cook the dough. So the dough is crispy on the outside, and it's a kind of slightly sweet, flaky dough, and then you punch a little hole in it, and then there's soup inside to eat. It's very fun, and they're really good. They're full of like beef and vegetables. They're very tasty.
Yeah, that was an interesting way to eat soup. But it did work, so it was almost like having soup with cornbread on the outside of it, and but you don't dare open that up very big, so it can become a mess. Okay, more stuff. Elizabeth.
I loved the fruit down there. Hang on, I have the clicker in my left hand. It's not going to work well that way. Okay. So this was a guava off the neighbor's tree. That's pretty self-explanatory as a pomegranate. This is passion fruit, and it is amazing. This is also passion fruit, but this is a sweet one. These are very sour, but they're so good. And then a couple kinds of dragon fruit, which were also amazing. This is a custard apple. I think someone said they tasted like bubble gum. Is that what you said, Joey? Kind of. I don't know what bubble gum tastes like, but that's what she said it tasted like. It was really good. And then their kiwis are really weird shaped. They're like very fat and long, but they're very tasty. And then this is prickly pear fruit that I picked on a walk. And Judy and I both got tons of thorns in our fingers from carrying the prickly pear, but it was good. This is another kind of passion fruit. And then lychee, they were delicious. We ate them in like one day. So, yeah.
So you're probably thinking, how did you have time to make all those books if you're messing around with all this fruit and stuff, right? Well, they went on walks. The women went on walks. I had a sore knee, and Dan has a sore knee. And so we did things that were a little bit closer to home, like he did some lawn mowing and things, and I tried to exercise my neck from crinking too much. And so there were other things that we did. We made that rack and different things like that. And they went on walks and came back just, talking about everything that they did. So... Okay, this is, it's got to be on one of those.
this is on one of our walks. So we had walked up the street that they live on. So you can see Cochabamba in the background. And it keeps going both ways. But yeah, that was we didn't make it to the beer factory that day, but it was up the hill. It's awful. That was our landmark of like, how far have we made it? No, we're not at the beer factory.
This is pretty typical of a street that doesn't have sidewalks on the side of it like a lot of the roads do. There is a sidewalk there, but there aren't the little shops that are like on some of the main roads. This was where we got the salteñas. That's where we got that at. And it's too bad you can't see. There's a beaver right here on the wall. And that's why we sat there. We wanted to sit by the beaver. So anyhow, we had to support the beavers, even in Bolivia. And so anyhow, that's I've got a better picture if you want to see a better picture of that. This is the opposite side of their living room and kitchen area there. And this is the table that they would fold with. This is a little heater, propane heater that would, and they actually had it on a couple of mornings, and I don't know, I didn't think it was that cold, but they did. Computer right here, and just for your information, Dan and Judy are huge NFL fans. They have the NFL, ticket, whatever, and so they watch NFL games. And they converse about it, and they want to talk NFL talk, and I don't know. I didn't please them too much because I don't like NFL. I like college football. So, and this is the area where they do the stapling, collating, and this is kind of it's probably a 18 by 16 room, and it's got cupboard space all around, and it's nice and tall. So that's why Elizabeth really enjoyed melting that stapler there. Okay, this is Saturday market in downtown Cochabamba, and I don't think we don't have any pictures in here of people that wanted to take pictures with you, did we? I don't think so. Those that didn't make it. Okay, so this market, they have a lot of stuff to sell, and you just kind of walk through. Well, Deanne and I had the privilege of walking behind Elizabeth most of the time, and all of the people there are like pretty short, and so they would, probably not say a whole lot until Elizabeth got in front of them, and then it would be, and every once in a while somebody would come up and want to take a picture, and so they got privileged to take pictures with Elizabeth, and so anyhow, that was part of the fun trip for Deanne and I to enjoy all of that, and so anyhow, that's what you see usually in a market. But they have pretty much everything in a market. They have apples that are from Washington. They have them shipped down there. I could see the stickers on them. I knew good and well what was going on there. So anyhow, they have pretty much a little bit of everything there. And then some things you probably don't want to know about too. Okay. This is a cobblestone street, and that is what the main road between Santa Cruz and Cochabamba is made out of that. The whole road is that. So it is, all the way through. About 13 hours is what it takes for a bus to go from Santa Cruz to Cochabamba. That's why we flew. It's about 45 to 50 minutes going up in the plane and then back down.
going up to 30,000 feet and then back down. So that is what the streets are. The streets from, or the roads from San Borja to La Paz are the closest outlet for the Cochabamba people and Chamani people. And so it's all like that, but it is steep. And before we got there, they had 2 bus accidents. And I'm trying to remember whether she said 2 buses of 35 people each, or was it one in two buses of 35 people each. People passed away. They died going over the cliffs and off the road and that. So it is a very dangerous place.
So part of their problem with accidents like that is there are no speed limits in Bolivia. And so people just drive however fast they want. So they will just pass on blind corners. They don't care where they are if they're passing. They just want to go faster than the car in front of them. And so I think that accident, I think there was another one too, they were passing and hit oncoming traffic.
And a lot of their vehicles, Dan said, are probably stolen from local community or countries and brought into Bolivia. And so if you ever have one of those vehicles and you're like going into Brazil, they will flag that and take your vehicle away from you if it is not properly registered as a Brazilian or Bolivian vehicle. So a lot of them need a lot of work. So anyhow, one of the questions was the very first taxi cab I got out of. You're not supposed to get out on the left-hand side. That's where all the traffic is at, but I didn't know any better. I got out, turned back and looked, and where the gas filler cap is supposed to be, there was a rag stuffed in there, sticking out. And I thought, I think that's how you make gasoline bombs, you know. But then I looked down at the wheel, and there's supposed to be, on those cars, 4 lug nuts. There was only 2. So Dan said, hey, there's 2 good ones, you know. Look, things are looking up, you know. But a worse percentage than that was I saw a Chrysler van that had 5 lug nuts on there, and there was only 2 of the 5 on there. So that's only 40%, you know, of your lug nuts on there. So anyhow, I got pretty much accustomed to that. But when you see one of the videos, you'll know why we kind of wondered about that. Let's see, do you want to say anything about the ducks?
So in case no one had noticed, I put the slideshow together, and anyone who knows me well enough know that I'm obsessed with ducks, and I found ducks, and I had to take a picture, and they had to be on here. These are just some different views from multiple walks we took, and ducks, because I had to have a picture of the ducks. They're adorable.
So I overheard them talking a little bit one of the days that as they were going up these hills, and because it's 8,800 feet at their place, they stopped to take quite a few pictures. It was a way that they got a little bit of a rest, could suck a little oxygen in that way. This is the garbage truck, and it plays some kind of a music of some sort, and they know it's coming. I think it was the first 2 days that we were there that should have been garbage pickup. They didn't have it because gasoline and diesel lines are huge. One guy said that he waited 10 hours to get fuel down there in a line. And they go down the street, up over the corner, through another block, and come back down again, and until they get as long as they can so that they can get fuel. So they've got problems getting fuel down there. So you can't see, Dan's hand is right there,
and he's passing the garbage up to the guy that rides up on top and puts the garbage in. And this other guy, I don't know what he's doing. He just likes to be up there, I guess. And then there's one guy that's driving in here. So that's the garbage pickup. Food. This is good subject. This was at the steakhouse, wasn't it? Okay. I think all the groups had gone to the steakhouse, and usually the steakhouse is a hit. And what we didn't use of the meat of the steaks, we took back home, and we made fajitas and all kinds of other stuff. 4 meals off of the leftover steak. So that was good. Okay. More books and different colored pages and different numbers. I don't see anything on there, but men's books. While I say this, Dan would like to have a project. It's going to cost about $15,000 for him to come up with a large meeting area. A lot of times now they're just meeting in his home there. And he needs to have a large meeting area where he can bring several different book studies in together and have them together at the same time. So he says it probably would cost about $15,000. He can do the concrete work. He'll have people that will make bricks, and it will all be done with a lot of the Chimani people there. So that might be a project that we may be requested to get involved in for future references. This is Cochabamba. Okay. This is the center court area, and a lot of times when they built these years ago, they had a Catholic temple, I guess, with bells and all the other kind of things. And they have a courtyard, and they have a big square all the way around that courtyard. So that's what this picture is. This is walking down the streets. I'm not sure if we're heading towards the marketplace at that time or not. Okay. This is the church that was on the opposite side of that square there. So it takes up a big square. And a lot of the, if you can see this here, there's a little bit of a wrought iron rail, a balcony. There's a lot of balconies all the way around because that's where they had all their parades and all their events and different things like that for the community. Okay, here we go. This is education time. This is the local transportation buses. Okay? Anybody can see that? That's a Dodge Grill. That is a Dodge truck, probably in the 60s. 70s? I would venture to say it's older than that. I had a 70s truck, and it didn't look anything like that. So this is about, I don't know, 20 to 25 people, something like that, packed in there. And they've got a rail up above where you can hang on to. And a couple of times we were full enough that people were standing only. But the seats are close enough that my knees were hitting in front. And Elizabeth was sprawled out across the back of it, I think. So, but anyhow, they it's kind of like this. That's how they drive those. When I was a kid, it'd say grind a pound for me, but I don't think they would have, well, they wouldn't have known what I was saying anyhow. So anyhow, that's the experience on the bus. And watch your head right there. It can take the hair off the top of your head. So, The what was that? Oh. I guess they're saying that there's a lawn chair for the seat for the driver, if you notice that close enough. I'm just glad there wasn't a bucket there. Okay, this is the Cristo, and what we found out about that is a lot of the countries gain bragging rights by having the tallest one. So this one was the tallest one, and I think they built one someplace else that was about 7 inches taller.
Poland currently has the largest statue of Jesus. This one is just a couple inches bigger than the one in Brazil.
So this framework right here was stuff that they had up, I'm guessing, during Christmas, and lights and decoration and stuff, and they just hadn't got it down. But notice how this cobblestone, was all the way around this, and on the steps coming up, and all of that. We had some live entertainment there, people that were... Oh, you can? Okay. We'll hear it. I don't... Maybe we're getting closer to it. That's the platform they are entertaining. Again, maybe it's the next one. There were 2 platforms like that. Just barely hear the music. That's what Cochabamba is. This is a green area around Cochabamba, and it's city all the way around on all sides. So the city of Cochabamba is a little less than 2 million people in that city. Santa Cruz is about 3 million people.
It has to go back around. Can I have the clicker too? Thank you. You can see where we were when it scrolls around the beer factory right there. See that big white spot? That is the roof of the beer factory. So that's where we were, was right over there.
And they had people that had full costumes on and hats and frilly dresses and people were videoing them. I don't know if it was a commercial or what it was, but that's what was going on there. Okay, so this is yours, right? Okay, this is Elizabeth's. I took a video going up, and our guy couldn't stay under about 45 or 50 miles an hour going up that cobblestone road. They were passing, I think they passed at least 3 cars. Yeah, and this is nice. There's guardrail there, where there's probably only 10% guardrail. There's a lot that doesn't have the guardrail. So I was thinking as we were going up there, I wonder how many lug nuts are on this wheel, you know? So anyhow, this is kind of interesting because going down the hill, you can see an area where they have a country club and they have a golf course down there. And Dan was saying one of the guys that was involved in the mission became a member of that golf course, but he only golfed one time in the year and a half that he was down there. So, okay, that's our pile of books. Stats.
So there's a pyramid of books. We did not do all of those. One of those boxes, Dan did the songbooks that he did before we got there, but he just put it on the pile because it made it look more impressive. But we did not do every single box there. We did all but one box.
I must point this out. There's the beaver that's going home right there. Oh, that's why it's covered up, right? Yeah. Yes.
Do the Shamani people speak Spanish, or do they only speak their own language?
It is their own language, and that's why it had to be translated for the books for them to have.
But they are learning Spanish.
They have to be able to trade with people in the area. It's kind of interesting. Dan said that there's a slaughterhouse in San Borja that slaughters about a little over 100 animals per day. So they are trying to establish trade. Cochabamba is very poor. And the people that are there are Quechua. And they are, they're rude, okay? If I can say it kindly enough. In the 2 weeks I was down there, I heard more horn honks than I have in probably 2 years being here. They always are honking their horn. It's a warning that I'm coming through. It is watch out, and I have the right of way. And so pedestrians do not have the right of way there at all. So be very careful. You have to be in masses in order to be able to have people stop. We were walking through the marketplace area, and a guy in a bus acted like he wanted to run me over. But Dan said, oh, he probably saw that you looked like you were an American, and that is a no-no, treating Americans poorly, I guess. But anyhow, I have a picture that did not make it into this. It was a very interesting one. Some of you have seen it. It was a marketplace picture where they had beef heads in a wheelbarrow. And a lot of people look at it and go, what in the world is that? And that's just their market. And when I was taking a picture, there was a lady that was laughing at me taking a picture of that, you know. And so anyhow, it's kind of comical down there. But the Chimani people, Dan says, are very nice. They're polite. They care for each other. That's why the ministry that they are doing seems to be working really well there. He has elders from the group that he is working with. They will take their boats upriver and visit villages upriver and share the gospel there with them. And so the word is getting out amongst the Chimani people. But the Quechuan people, my feeling is they're kind of lost. And they have a church there that they go to. It probably is, maybe 125 people there in the service. They have they had one song, English, and then everything else was Spanish from beyond that. So culturally, I think Catholicism is probably what rules there. And yes.
One of the things about the Quechua that makes it very hard for them becoming Christians is they're very much we do everything as a community. And they're pagans. Basically, they worship Mother Nature and do sacrifices to it, and it's a community thing. So if one person gets saved, they're suddenly not part of that community, and community is very, very important to them. So that's one of the hard things of trying to reach the Quechua.
So the issue that they have is a little difficult, but while we were there, there was a neighbor that lives up the hill from them. They had a pretty good argument one night, a lot of yelling and screaming, and the lady came down the next day and talked with Judy and kind of poured herself out to Judy. Had to deal with children and some things like that. And so they know that the Burks are there and they know what the Burks do. And so there's opportunities for them to share Christ in their neighborhood. We're getting ready to go here. This is Cochabamba as we were getting ready to leave. And this is when, shortly after that, it was harder to get out of Bolivia than it was to get into Bolivia. So we had to file documentation and claim that we weren't taking anything out. And I was searched pretty severely there. And Joey, you had your pill container really scrutinized quite a bit there. But this was kind of the last meal that we had together. It was kind of a breakfast.
This is flying to Santa Cruz. This is the Cochabamba stuff.
Oh, okay.
We still have the 2 days in Santa Cruz.
Oh, okay. We've still got, oh, that's right. We've got, okay. There is a square there where the other mission headquarters is. And there's a Burger King on one corner, and then there is a Pizza Hut on the other side. And so we were introduced back to American type food. Okay, and yeah, you can talk about the birds.
So they took us to the zoo in Santa Cruz, which is, it's really cool. It's just Bolivian animals. And it was a really nice day, so we got to walk through the aviary. So we got to see, there's a toucan, and there are more ducks, and then some macaws. I wanted to take this guy home with me. He was so cute and happy just sitting there. And then I learned that there are freshwater stingrays. I was only familiar with saltwater stingrays. And then some turtles, and I don't remember what kind of fish that one is. And then there's an anteater and a tapir, which according to Dan just tastes like beef. It's very interesting going through the zoo with them because they're like, oh yeah, the chamani eat that. Oh yeah, that's pretty good tasting. And then one of the little javelinas. And then there were some rayas and more toucans and a jaguar and a king vulture and some more parrots and a condor. And I learned there are also cougars down there. I didn't know they had cougars down there. And a coati, which they kind of smell like skunks. They're cute, but they smell like skunks. And ice cream. We had ice cream a couple times over in Santa Cruz. It was very tasty. And then that is the town square. So the pig, wrong button, my turn for the wrong button, good grief. The pig was just kind of over on this side, behind all these paintings. And then this is the main big Catholic church that's in the center of Santa Cruz. And this, we climbed up the clock tower. Really amazing view of the city. Santa Cruz is a little wealthier than Cochabamba, so it was a little fancier, a little nicer. And then there was the other clock tower. That was fun. And then this is you fill it when you go to Bolivia, you fill a customs form going in, and you fill the same customs form going out, basically saying you're not taking a lot of things in or out or a lot of money. We didn't know we had to do it leaving, so we just kind of had to stand there and figure out the QR code or fill out the paper forms. So that took a minute. Do you want to add anything? You done?
The airport is about 8 to 9 miles outside of the city of Santa Cruz. And along that road to the airport, it's also the main road to the lowlands in Trinidad, which eventually would connect up to Cochabamba. They had a lot of corporation vehicles like Caterpillar, track hose. They had, what I was interested in to see was they had machinery dealers, farm machinery dealers. They had a combine a Lexion combine with a 50-foot header that I know in the United States sells for right at $1 million. They had a New Holland with a 50-foot header that sells right at $1 million. So they have some wealthy people there, and that's where some of the Mennonites are headquartered in that area. There are some Mennonites that are lost. They do not know the Lord, and that is their heritage. They have some that I believe probably do know the Lord. We saw a couple of different types. And so some of the guys that we saw wear black bib overalls. They wear black caps. The boys wear black bib overalls. 4-year-old, 5-year-old boys. Black bib overalls, black caps, just like that. The women wear black dresses, and they are very antisocial, I guess. Did you see that? So in that area, there's a lot of people that could be involved in a mission field there too. And this is where we went through the customs. And so just beyond this is where I got searched, and then beyond that a little bit is where Joey got searched, her medications. I think it quit. It's not going forward, not going backwards. Okay, thank you. Bogota was an interesting place too. Yeah, Elizabeth got searched and took.
I had a tiny pair of scissors for my embroidery and a pack of embroidery needles, and those were not allowed in the country, and they were confiscated. The guy was very upset with me, like, so disappointed. How could you bring embroidery needles into our country? He was happy once I said, throw them away, I don't care.
And I lost this much of my water bottle. It was, no. Okay, take it, I don't want it. So that was interesting. Bogota was interesting. Next, do we have another one? I think we're getting pretty close to. There we go. That's Houston. That's where we could speak English again. And beyond that, is there anything? Oh, that's, everybody know that? Okay, Portland. And that's the headlines. One thing that I'm going to say is that that after being there, Deanna and I have decided that we're going to personally support Dan and Judy. That's a difference that it made, being there, seeing the work that they do, understanding what they're up against, and they told us that they do not want to leave the field. They are not looking to retire. They're going to stay there as long as they can. They also have a daughter that lives in Cochabamba too, so they see their grandkids there also. So whether that makes a difference to you or not, it made a difference to us. And I think the other thing that we want to kind of let you understand is that we believe it's a mission that is very valuable. And so with that in mind, we want the congregation here to think about the future. If we plan another missions trip 2 years from now, who will be involved in it? Some of the work that we did will allow Dan not to have to come back and do that additional work when he gets back to Cochabamba from the lowlands. And so some of those things he was looking forward to. He said, this is great. The other thing I want to lay with you too is Dan and I had a lot of good time to talk. And I kind of picked his brain at a lot of different things. I hope that he enjoyed it as much with me as I did with him. And I think some of that time that he has the book teams to come allows them to refresh their minds a little bit, speaking English, thinking in English rather than either Spanish or Chimani, and it helps refresh them a bit. Now, he would lead a Bible study at about noon. We would read a chapter, and then we would discuss that. And I think he enjoys that, but he also enjoys hearing things from home. You know, Dan hasn't been a missionary all of his life. He worked out at Eola Concrete and Tile out on the way to Salem. That's where he worked when they were here before he was called to the mission field. And it's kind of interesting to know that someone was called into a ministry like that, and they have done really a good job. They have people that are leaving the field that are retiring and things, and they need to make a lot of decisions about both of those complexes in Santa Cruz, whether they're going to keep them or not. That one that we stayed in before we came back is probably worth well over $1 million to sell it. But it is a place where people can come and rent the facilities, and a lot of that facility belonged to the missionaries that were there that did a lot of the translating of the language for the Chimani people. So anyhow, that's some other things that Dan will be able to help us with. But the one thing that we thought that was quite interesting is he said he feels like this church is a sending church to them. And hearing that from his lips, I think that might motivate us to take a better look at how we support him individually.
The last day we were there, Joey and I sat, and we had a really good talk with Judy, just asking what are things we can be praying for them, like some big things for them. And the three that I guess we have 4 on the list. They're having some family relation issues. Just pray for them that there would be connections and unity in their family. And also the ability to disciple the Chimani more. They're doing it, but just keep praying for that. And also the situation in the country. Bolivia is, the gas lines are very long. There's a lot of unrest. This year is an election year for the president. So that's bringing even more problems, and roadblocks are a very common thing, strikes. Currently the dumps are closed, so you can't even if the garbage trucks could get gas to get there, the dumps aren't accepting anything, so trash is just piling up on the sides of the street. So pray for the country. And then loneliness. That is something they really deal with on a daily basis. Getting an email, getting a text, someone visiting them. And it's kind of a long way down there, but that just an email means so much to them. Of just, hey, I went to Safeway and then I planted pansies in my yard. Even just something like that really, really means something to them, that people are thinking about them, they're praying for them, and trying to stay in touch. An interesting thing Judy shared with us, they went to Bolivia in the early 90s. Yeah. And when they went down there, there were, with Ethnos 360, there were 64 units in Bolivia. So like couples, families, 64 units. I guess they went down in 92. If I read my notes, it's amazing what I learned. And now with Ethnos 360, there are only 2 units. Dan and Judy and another couple that are, I think, 10 years older than them. So there is so much that could be done down there, and just so few people. So that's why the discipleship is so important, to teach the Chimani so that they can go out, which they are doing. The elders there, I don't know if any of you, how many of you guys are on their email list, but they send out emails pretty regularly, and they have pictures of the Chimani elders going out to other communities and having discipleship and services and stuff. So that's super important. Any other? Anyone else?
Well, I think this is about it. And we want to thank you for all coming. And if we didn't answer any questions that you had, just hit us up. And we've even probably got some more pictures to show you. Oh, Dave, you've got one. Those are trash baskets. So, yeah, different way of life. Anything else?
Any other questions?
Oh.
How did you get up to the Cristo?
We took a taxi.
The tram was broken. They were fixing it, so might be a good thing. I don't know. Yeah, it's. I think I was just going to say one thing. We were all stretched in our faith a bit because we kind of talked about this ahead of time. Well, if the Lord has our trip ordained, He's going to make sure that it comes about. And so we recognize that that's something that is out of our control. And we just kind of go along with it. So I want to thank Galen for the time that he spent in preparing us. I know that there was an awful lot of things that Deanne and I had questions about. When I first started this, I wondered if people were going to be looking at us in the airport like we're weirdos or something like that. But it just kind of goes along. You just accept it. The plane, the airfare, we had to end up changing our route at least 3 times, if not 4. We were going to go through, we did not have a long enough layover time. So we tried to go through another route through the East Coast and down. That didn't work. So then we finally ended up going through. And there were some issues a little bit. We ended up with a 7-hour layover in Houston, which is probably not kosher for airlines to make people wait that long. But we just did it. And so anyhow, Galen helped prepare us. And he gave us some good ideas of what to take and how to carry things. We took a suitcase down there with a lot of things that were made by Women's Missionary Fellowship and left it all down there, which was a good thing. So anyhow, it was a good time. Somebody was saying, would you do it again? Well, within about 3 weeks, the toughest thing for me was the airplane rides, I guess. Not being able to get up and move around that long, and my knees were cramped and all of that kind of stuff. After I've recovered from that, yeah, I'd do it again, So anyhow, let's have a word of prayer before we are dismissed. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity for us to be able to share our experience with the Burks. We know that you have placed the Burks there in a very strategic operation that takes the message of the gospel to the Chimani people. And we recognize that they are only human, and a lot of the people there are seeking more and more knowledge and understanding of the Scripture. I pray that you would be with them as they continue to teach them. I pray that the words that they say will speak to the spirits of their hearts, and that they would become a people that would seek you and after your word. We ask that you bless this time to Dan and Judy, and give them an opportunity when they are home now to rest a little bit before they go back and start into their work. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.